Okay. We won't be here for super long. I just wanted to reintroduce myself, tell everybody what to expect, let you know how things have been going for me. If you don't know me, my name is Taylor Danielle. I run Healing in Hindsight, which is a diabetes lifestyle brand. And it all started with a blog that eventually became a podcast. And that's where we're at today. And I've been doing this for about 2 years now. Started when the pandemic happened because I realized that it was something that I still wanted to do. I kept the website alive for literally years and didn't do anything with it. So, fast forward from 2015 when I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm now 6 years in. My anniversary was last November. But I decided during the pandemic when myself, like many others, was laid off, that it was time to shift what I wanted Healing in Hindsight to be. I had started it as a blog to catalog my journey through this because my diagnosis was considered young. I was 25 at the time, and it was just not common for someone in their mid 20s to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Normally, you hear of diagnosis happening in your like 40s and 50s and things like that. So it was pretty, I don't want to say shocking because I have a family history of it. Both of my parents have it, and I have grandparents that have had it. So it was something that I was actually trying to get ahead of, but I didn't get ahead of it in a way that was healthy or safe. So I ended up right where I didn't want to be. But that's okay because I've learned a lot and I'm doing a lot better. Thus the name Healing in Hindsight. I'm learning from not only my past mistakes, but from the journeys of others. So I went the podcast route because I listen to them all the time. And blogging and writing for me is something that I enjoy doing, but it's hard when it feels forced. And I didn't know how to do it from a perspective where I don't have a medical background. And so I had a really hard time writing because I didn't want to do here's how I reversed it because I didn't, or 5 tips to lower your blood sugar, which at the time blogging was the big thing. And that's the type of stuff that people were doing. And it just didn't feel right because I had no insight to that. I had no information. I was literally working through it every day. And I was afraid to share that I had no idea what I was doing, and I was struggling, and I was not able to get to a place where I could, like, confidently tell people, "Hey, this is what I did, this is what works." So, after getting laid off and after, like, really sitting with it, I'm like, "Duh, Taylor, do a podcast." So, that's kind of the introductory of how it all got started. Again, fast forward 2 years, here we are, 5 seasons, and it's been a huge learning experience for me, not only from the creator blow up kind of things, but just as someone living through this in a modern time where there's so much information, there's so many options, and so many different ways that you can put your management and treatment plan together, that I just decided that I wanted to focus the lens of this brand to living diabetes your way. That's really what it all boils down to because there is so much out there. And what I want to hopefully leave my mark on in the world is that no person diagnosed with anything, in my opinion, should be treated like the person before it. I shouldn't be getting cookie cutter management. It's not to say that there won't be common themes, but I think something that hit me really hard is that, like I said, both my parents also have type 2 diabetes. None of us are on the same medication. Like none of us. And I think that's fascinating and also a huge, big sign that we shouldn't be putting people in these boxes of treatment plans and expecting that they're all going to have the same result. So that's where the thought and theme of a lot of things is going to be because it is really frustrating when you get a lot of unhelpful information and it's telling you to do something that somebody else did and you don't live the same life. you don't eat the same things, you don't have the same environments, all of that. So, this is more so about being able to really tailor how you are managing your diabetes to yourself and how you are able to find a path and a way to do all of this that feels right for you. And I feel like that's not something that is at the forefront of a lot of diabetes treatment management, things like that. It's getting better. I will say, being in the community, in the space, there are a lot more people who feel that way, but there's also a lot of predatory stuff out there too that is trying to guide people to invest in things that may not fit their actual life. So, mini rant over. A couple of housekeeping rules, if you will, as we go down this journey of doing a live show. We're going to be here every Monday morning, and I promise next week will be a lot more structured. I just wanted to keep today super laid back. If you want to participate in the show, so if you're listening back to this and you're like, "Oh, I can participate." Yes, you can. We are gonna be live on YouTube every Monday, 10 AM Central Time, and all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and you can engage and chat and ask questions and all of that. I will take pauses throughout to answer any questions, but the show will be segmented just to ensure that, like, I'm sharing what I want you to hear from me, and then there's time to respond to any comments or questions. But this is just as much for you as it is for me. So please feel free to interact with each other and ask questions and share what's worked for you. Please do not provide any advice to anybody. I am not a medical professional, so let me say this at the top. This is just for general information, entertainment, and kind of a behind the scenes to what I'm doing. So I am not a medical professional. So if there's anything that I share or that someone shares as we're going through this, please speak with your medical team first before you implement anything to ensure that it is going to be the right fit for you. I ain't trying to get sued, y'all. So yeah, ask questions. I ask that put a big capital Q or an all caps question and then your question as you're going through, so that way I can spot it easily and can make sure that I can save it and respond to you for it. Okay, the whole title of this is Here's Why I Left. And I have been struggling, honestly, to talk about this because it's a lot. And looking back, I feel like I recognize that there was a lot that I could have done. Obviously, it happened, and in some ways, I feel like it needed to happen in order for me to recognize that. So it is hard for me to talk about, and I'm gonna try my best to stay focused and not get too emotional about it. I was pretty much overwhelmed with a lot of things. So the last episode that posted was in April of this year, and it was right in the middle of season 5. And I was in partnership both as a separate brand and entity, but also as an employee with a past sponsor, and it was decided that relationship should close. And so it came out of left field. I was not prepared at all. I was actually in the process of rebuilding my safety net in terms of finances because I had been working for myself for like almost a year at that point when I decided to sign on back to working for somebody. And I only chose it because it seemed to be a mutually beneficial fit. And I had made that clear. And I did not want what I had built here to fall behind. And so looking back, there was a small window of opportunity for me to take on a little bit less work, but I threw myself into it because I was really excited about it. And I thought that by going at it full time, it would bring me a lot closer to everybody in the community and I could provide a lot more value if it had my full attention. So when that ended, There were a lot of things that was going on that I just wasn't prepared to have to shift and pivot for. So I spent January just grieving a bit, grieving a setup that I thought was really going to grow. It was gonna help me grow in ways that I couldn't do it by myself. And so I feel like looking back now, the reason why that happened is because the way that I went into it was not the ideal setup that I needed. Again, I had a small window of opportunity to take a slightly different path, but that's okay because I feel like it ended because it was not truly the match that I needed, and that's okay. It still rattled me to a point that I felt I felt like, "Is what I'm doing actually worth it?" And I threw myself back into the show and did a lot of great recordings with people, did a lot of cool stuff, and the season started, and it was going and it was chugging along, and then I got to April, where a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, who also was a past guest on the show, um, she was getting married, and I had the honor and privilege to be a bridesmaid, and it was in Hawaii, right? It's Hawaii. So my partner and I decided to make the weekend for the wedding a full week-long vacation as well. It was a great time, but things started creeping up on me while we were there that I did not realize was happening. We get back from Hawaii, and it was like my entire financial setup just completely crashed. And I was about this close. I was about super, super close to not saying anything to anybody, to completely suffering in silence, and to potentially, honestly, lose everything. That's the part that when I look back, I'm like, I could have lost a lot had I not said something. I'd almost paid my car off. I had been doing really well about adjusting my finances to make sure I was taken care of at least 2 months ahead. That was completely burnt through, and I found myself crying to my partner, freaking out because I'm like, "I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills next month. How did I get here?" I had paid sponsorships. I had a full-time job at one point. I'm like, "How did my setup get me to this point where I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills next month?" And so it just tipped me off into kind of a spiral of things because I had to start cutting things out. I had to start thinking through how much of my business can I keep afloat? What do I have to let go? All of that. And so I fell into a really rough depression. And that last episode that aired in April for season 5 was it posted while we were in Hawaii, but ever since then, I just could not get myself back on track. And I found myself I started to hate this. I started to hate the planning. I started to hate having to figure out what guests I was gonna have. I started to hate even my messaging. I just did not find any joy or love or hope in what I had. And so I just crumbled. And it started out with, okay, I'll just skip a recording this day. If I'm not fully in it, if I don't have the energy, if I don't really want to do it, should I present myself when I know that I feel that way? Especially because I was still recording video. So I didn't want anybody to look at the video version of the episode and be like, she doesn't look like she's into it. You can just tell sometimes. Some people are really great actors, but sometimes you can tell, man, there's just no life there. So I was truly of the mindset that if I'm not in the mood to do it, that I shouldn't. My tune's a little bit different now about that just because there are some moments where pushing through actually energizes me, and it's just me overcoming the battles in my head about it. But at the time, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I'm like, I'm not feeling good. Don't want to put that energy out there. We'll try it the next day. And that excuse just became same thing the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. And then I just stopped communicating with anybody. People in the diabetes community, mentors, people that have always really supported me. I just stopped communicating. And I had gotten to a point where my days looked like waking up, scrolling through my phone, and literally staying in bed all day. And I had stopped taking all my medication. I wasn't wearing a CGM anymore. I wasn't checking even with my manual meter. I just stopped. And it was it's a little scary to think about now of I don't know where I was at during those periods at all. I don't know if I was actually in range or if I was off the charts. I don't know anything. I had doctor's appointments that I either canceled or no-showed to, and I just could not bring myself to just leave the house. My poor dogs, even that was a struggle. Like, even just taking them out was a struggle. I live on the 3rd floor of an apartment, y'all, so I hate stairs, and it's just tough when you have 2 dogs and one that's particularly very active, and she wants to dang near pull you down the stairs and drag you everywhere, and she prefers to be off leash, but we're in an apartment complex, so letting her run off leash is a big no-no. So, I was just struggling, y'all. I was so tired, and I was frustrated and sad because I could not figure out why I didn't wanna do this anymore. I just didn't wanna do it anymore. And first, I was trying to determine if there were signs of burnout before I fell into this depression, and it's yes, but no, because the way that I function is instead of taking breaks, I work harder. So I bury myself in everything until it breaks, and that's what happened is I literally ran myself into the ground trying to keep up with everything, trying to keep myself busy, distracting myself so I didn't have to acknowledge just how sad and frustrated I was. And it was just this huge domino effect of things falling apart, no motivation, having to completely tear everything down and build it back up. And so there was honestly a point in time where I was just like, you know what? Nobody even noticed. So I just won't create anything anymore. I won't do much else for this. The account will sit, everything will sit, and it'll be fine. Fine. It'll just sit there. I'll just slowly fade into the background. And it makes me think of that gif of Homer, like, just slowly disappearing into the bushes. Like, that was me. So I thought I was, honestly done. I thought that at that point, I am no longer going to be doing the show. I'm no longer going to be putting any effort towards this brand that I had built. And the strangest thing brought me out of it, and I don't know, it's a combination of things that brought me out of it. One, I finally just broke down to my partner and we got in a bit of an argument because my attitude and the way that I was doing things was just like I was very snappy and all these things. And I was trying to actually ask him for help. I didn't know what I need help with. I was just like, I need something. I need something. Cause I was just getting to a point where I'm like, this is bad. Like where I'm at, how I'm doing, how I'm feeling is so bad right now. And I can't sit here and pretend like I don't need someone else to intervene for me. Because of the situation with, you know, losing my job back in January and having this big financial hit over the next 6 months, I did decide to go back to work. I had taken that time when I was, like, really working on season 5 to, "Okay, I've got a nest egg to keep me through and to keep me afloat," and I thought that I was going to be able to get to a good point by the time that it ran out that I already had more money coming in. That I would work it out and I can just stay working for myself because clearly that's where I need to be. When that didn't work out, I started job hunting again and I was like, maybe I'll find something part-time. I need to find something that flows with what I want and can provide me skills and things that will be beneficial to me. And I did end up finding a job that is not stressful at all. It really is a great place. I've even started doing content creation work with them, and it's really exciting because it's like a breath of fresh air to do something different, but it also provides me resources and knowledge that I can apply to my own setup. It's part of the reason why I'm even doing this live episode right now because I do it with them all the time, and I'm really grateful to my team there and everything else like that. But in the midst of this, as I'm starting this new job and I'm taking it real slow with people, like I'm not immediately trying to get too involved in the extracurriculars because I recognize I got 2 jobs, technically 3. I have my 8 to 4 work, and then I got my 4 to 10 work. And I wanted to ensure that I didn't allow having a job again completely consume me and distract me from continuing to build. I didn't know what I wanted to build because I have this brand and then I have like my personal brand and I do have a gaming channel, but that's more for fun, honestly. I've been really trying to separate myself of I want gaming to be my thing. No, it's just for fun. And if I get something out of it, great. Um, but I really started to ask myself, who am I outside of healing and hindsight? What do I stand for? What do I represent? What do I want to build? And every time that I tried to figure that out, it came back up. It came back up. And even though there are still other endeavors that I wanna do that doesn't surround life with diabetes, because I felt like all of my content had to be with the focus 100% on diabetes and not be able to touch on, like, diabetes adjacent things. And I recognize that everything that I do, for the most part, impacts my health, and diabetes is a part of my health, right? So, if I'm going through relationship stuff, it impacts me. If I'm going through a really stressful time, it impacts me. If I'm going through a really good time, it impacts me. If I want to travel, if I want to try new things, all of that in some ways impacts me and my life with diabetes. But I don't have to make it the center of my life. And a lot of the things that I want to talk about moving forward, I feel can be applicable to anybody, diabetes or not. But it's just through the lens of this extra layer, something that I have to keep in mind, and that even though I'm keeping that in mind, it doesn't take away from my humanity. And I felt like the content that I was creating before, although I don't regret any of it, I just didn't feel 100% connected to it. I didn't feel like it was providing something that I felt confident in. And I know so many great people who do have medical backgrounds and the knowledge and the training to share 10 tips to lower your blood sugar and stuff like that. That's not my lane. And once I realized that isn't my lane, that's okay. That is so okay. And I don't have to follow that route just because I'm trying to meet the algorithm or create content that is clickable or what. I don't want to do any of that. And it's hard because it's, yes, there's marketing and strategy that should go into it to ensure that your message is heard. But I don't want to focus so hard on that. I do want to do some things and I do want to be more present and consistent in sharing myself and the things that I'm experiencing. But do we really need another podcast talking about 5 ways to lower your blood sugar? No. I think I would rather uplift a lot of great friends in the space who can share that and provide that than that be the focus of what I'm doing here. So I updated the tagline from your no BS source for thriving with diabetes to your life with diabetes, your way. And I did that because that was the core of what I felt and why I decided that this was going to be a lifestyle brand and why I decided that this was something that needed to be in the space. And maybe it is something like a directory of like, how do you accomplish these things? And then it's, hey, this person will do it and this person can help you understand that. Because I feel like what I can speak to confidently on is being able to choose how you want your life living with diabetes to go. And I decided that I could either stop doing everything like I did and just slowly fade into the background and suffer the consequences of not keeping track of it, or I could actively choose how I wanted my life with this to go. And even though that may mean that I have to be on medication for the rest of my life, I have a pretty good setup now. And if my body is healthy, then that's all that matters. And so after I broke down to my partner and to my therapist of I've been suffering in silence because I just have no energy to want to do anything anymore. It was so relieving just to say it all out loud of I'm tired and I'm tired of trying to do everything myself just to keep myself together. But I don't know who to reach out to or to talk to or what to talk about with all of this. And so I just started with responding to some people that have been like reaching out to me and emailing me and like checking on me. And I was just honest. I was like, I've just been stuck. I don't know what to do. And I'm tired and I don't want to do anything. And I just want to sit here in my house and let the world pass me by right now. And I'm thinking that I'm going to get a bunch of advice and a bunch of here's what you can do to do that. Cause sometimes we feel like we want to reach out for help. We don't actually want anybody to problem solve. And I'm a problem solver. I do this myself, and I have to actively catch myself whenever my friends want to vent or just share how they're feeling, that they're not looking for an immediate answer or for tools to fix it. So I have to say, okay, are you wanting any suggestions or support and ways to work through that? And that was something that I needed to recognize and or be proactive about telling people. But in that moment, I didn't have to say anything because everybody that responded to me was like, "Yo, I get it." And it's okay that you don't feel great about any of this. It's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with taking a break that you absolutely need and slowly building yourself back up. And so that's what I've been doing for the past few months is tearing everything that I built apart in a way and just slowly building it back up because I do believe in this and I do want this to be successful, but I need it to flow in a way that is healthy for me. And the way that I was going about it, at least within the past year, it was just not healthy for me. So what does all of this mean in terms of moving forward and what's going to happen next and all of that? As you can see, we're going to be doing these episodes live. I have a whole actual separate space that we'll be going live from to create this kind of just chilling on the couch chit chatting. That's what I really wanted this pod to be. Is I want it to feel like we're just two friends hanging out, shooting the shit, talking about what's going right, what's going wrong, and our thoughts about how we can move forward on it. So every Monday morning, that's what we're gonna do. It's like coffee date with a friend, right? Or tea, whatever your preference. And all of the at least solo episodes for now will be recorded live. There are guests that were slotted for season 5 that you guys haven't heard. And I'm working to get those episodes edited, both audio and video, and to get them uploaded and posted for you. I'm no longer doing seasons. I liked seasons for a way to like build in breaks for myself, but I realized that I was not flowing with seasons in the right way to where I could truly actually take a break. And so this feels a lot better. This feels a lot more constructive to not only be live, but to be able to connect with you and to be able to talk through things in real time and to get things going to where like it's a part of my regular routine. But if I do take a break, you won't necessarily know that I am. But all the recordings afterwards will be my actual planned episodes and stuff like that will still be going live. But I think just for my sanity, honestly, and for the people that I work with to help make the show happen, this feels a lot better of let's just get the lives going. Let's just start doing it. And then we can start back posting everything and making it nice, neat, and doable. My website is actually getting some work done. It's getting a little facelift. So the full video version of the episodes will be going on to the website. YouTube will get the snippet version. So again, if you're listening back to this and you want to participate in the live recordings of this, um, there is a link that I will include to where you can actually sign up and be able to get notifications for every time that the live is happening. I'll also make sure that it's posted in my Instagram bio. Yes, it is. It's posted on my Instagram bio. So you can head over to my Instagram, click the link there, and you can sign up to be notified whenever I'm going live on Mondays. All of the raw recorded videos are going completely unlisted, so you can't access it. So if you want to catch it live and you want to participate, definitely make sure that you sign up to be notified whenever we do. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. I think that's it. I'm toying with the idea of also going live on Facebook. Me and Facebook have a love-hate relationship, so we'll see. Ideally do. But I'm back. I'm here. I am recovering. I'm in a much healthier space. I'm in a much better flow. There's still some kinks that I'm working through, but I feel really good about where all of this is going and how all of this is going to flow. And so I'm really excited to do a live element and have a bit more structure and a bit more interactiveness with all of you. So, with that being said, I am going to take us out from here. Um, Again, if you're listening back, be sure to look into the show notes for the link to be notified every time I go live on Mondays and any other updates that I have for you guys. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.